Are you ready to crack the code on closing bigger deals and landing better clients? Welcome to The Closing Code, the podcast for sales pros and agency owners who want to master the art of selling high-ticket digital marketing services. In each episode, your hosts, Clinton James and Josh Konigsberg, bring you real-world strategies, actionable insights, and proven tactics to help you level up your sales game. No fluff, no gimmicks, just the tools you need to win more deals and build a thriving agency. Let's get started.
Welcome, everyone, to the first episode of The Closing Code, where we help digital marketing agencies close high-ticket deals. My name is Josh Konigsberg, and along with my dear friend Clinton James, we're here to help all of you sales reps and agency owners crush it in sales. Clinton, take it away.
Josh, first of all, I really appreciate you doing this project with me. It is really a labor of love. It is a way for us to give back to the digital marketing community. I know we are part of a mastermind together. That's how I met you, through Josh and Yesenia's seven-figure agency. I love sales. I love talking sales, and there's nobody I'd rather talk sales with than the man, the myth, the legend, Josh Konigsberg. So thanks again for doing this with me.
Thanks for inviting me to the party, Clinton. This is going to be so much fun, man.
Definitely is. A couple things for our audience, since this is our first episode, is we want to kind of let them know what to expect, right? So not only are you going to have Josh and myself here talking shop, right? Breaking down the sales process, breaking down each stage of the sales process, assumptive closing language, best techniques for getting whoever the industry is that you serve in the right mind to take advantage of your digital marketing services. We're also going to have some great interviews, Josh. So tell the audience a little bit about that.
Yeah, so through our network of professional closers, we've invited at least a dozen at this point. Super excited about a couple big names too in there. Really excited to get the interviews rolling, and I think you guys out there are going to love it.
Yeah. If you are an agency owner, still in the seat selling your agency services, or maybe you're an appointment setter or a sales rep working for one of these agencies, this is the podcast for you, right? This is going to be a place where you can go, you can listen, and you can take away actionable items that you can implement on your next sales call to help you close more business there. So,
And I think that we're actually the first ever podcast dedicated solely to selling digital marketing agency services. And really excited to see how that goes and see how the reception is amongst all of you closers out there.
Yeah, for sure. Before we get too deep into our first episode, Josh, for the audience that doesn't know you and I, let's give them a little background about how we got started selling digital marketing services. Why don't you go first?
Yeah, so I'm a veteran of, not only veteran of sales, but I'm also a veteran of digital marketing. So my entree, first of all, I'm a lifelong salesman. My degree's in communications and really focused on the art of persuasion, if you will, and communication and understanding semantics, and also the psychology of consumer behavior, which really is what sales is all about at the end of the day, as is marketing, right? So I got started in digital marketing back in 1996 with a company called Findex, which was the precursor, technically not related to, but the precursor to LendingTree. So think of what LendingTree was before LendingTree even existed.
Okay.
And there was a financial index search engine for people who were searching for whatever the financial needs were. Fast forward to the .com crash and the whole debacle associated with that. Got into digital marketing, re-entered, I should say, digital marketing in about 2011 as a generalist agency, started selling anyone and everyone who needed some SEO, Google Places back then, if you recall that it was called Google Places. And really just kind of rolled into a a full service agency over time as clients would come back and ask us if we could do this, that, or the other. And yeah, of course we can. Oh, you need PPC? Absolutely. Oh, you want social media? We've got somebody for that. We go out and find the person to do it, right? So necessity being the mother of invention. So, and then in the fall of 2019 was introduced to Josh and Yesenia Nelson over at Seven Figure Agency, went to the Roadmap Live, which is a free event that they host. And a big shout out to Josh and Yesenia for welcoming us at that time. And, we joined in September, October 2019. First thing they teach you, as you know, Clinton, is you got a niche. So we niched into law, created the brand Law Firm Marketing Pros and all the accompanying assets that you need, websites, collateral materials, identity materials, etc. Some lead magnets just in about 90 days. And we officially launched on January 2nd, 2020, just 10 weeks before COVID.
Ooh.
What a great time that was. And, it was a good thing we did. And it's a good thing we joined Seven Figure Agency because we lost about 50% of our business in our legacy agency through COVID. And, we have since 6x'd our growth since then. I personally am responsible for over 17 million in digital marketing agency sales between now and then, and continue to ramp up 6-figure deals on a regular basis.
Now, Josh, for our audience listening, I want to clarify something, because there's a lot of people that jump on podcasts that are self-proclaimed sales gurus. Even though you're a guru in your own right, that's not what this podcast is about. You and I literally, even though we own agencies, we are in the trenches every day, doing discovery calls, doing strategy sessions, actually closing business. So this is not theory. This is actual execution that we do day to day to grow our agencies through sales.
That 1000% right. Every single day. In addition to doing that, we're also in the position where we're hiring what we're going to call setters, and we're also hiring closers, and we're in the process of this. So we've structured all the training. And of course, it's like, you do, and then you learn from creating it's do, teach, learn. Is that what the sequence is?
I think so.
Yeah. Do, teach, learn, because I'm learning even more and more. The more I teach, the more I actually learn as I break down the psychology of the decisions of what I made without the formal, let's say, Sandler training that one might have to pay to go through, that I've just kind of figured out on my own. And that's conversation for another story. So Clinton, how about you? Why don't we tell the audience about your tremendous background, going back to maybe you were 13 or something when you started. And
Well, I got my first sales job at 15. Don't tell anybody, but I lied and said I was 16 to get that job. I was working in a call center in the middle of Texas, called West Telemarketing. We would call, little old ladies and get them to switch their long distance service provider, or call single mothers and get them to consolidate their credit card debt. This was like boiler room type of telemarketing there. It was a huge campus, but those are the campaigns. I literally did that for a few weeks. Got pulled into a room with a bunch of really old people. I mean, not really old, but for me at the time, being 15, they were old compared to me, right? And they asked me, "Hey, Clinton, we've been listening to your calls, and you're not following the script that we provided to you guys." And I'm like, "Well, your script doesn't work. I'm getting the sales, I'm getting the numbers that you guys want." So they asked me, "Hey, would you be interested in writing scripts?" So I spent the next few months doing nothing but writing scripts for these huge Fortune 500 companies. And that's really when I learned I had a gift, to be able to sell things over the phone, right? Fast forward a little bit. My first entry into digital marketing sales was right out of high school. I got a job for a tech company. This is back in 1999. They were a domain name registrar. So people would go, they'd register a domain name, and then we would try to call those people and upsell them to website development, SEO, web hosting, e-commerce programs there. And that was my first experience talking to business owners on how to leverage the internet to help them grow their business. And really, I fell in love. And it's been a long journey. I've sold a lot of things in the past. But a little over 6 years ago, I connected with my business partners, Kevin and Jeff. had an opportunity to start working in a niche down agency. We service the restoration industry. So a little bit different than lawyers. So you guys are not only going to hear somebody who has worked with the white collar entrepreneurs, your attorneys, but also the blue collar entrepreneurs, right? Your restoration companies there. So I think the different audiences that you and I both serve, or the different niches that you and I both serve, is going to really provide our audience a great opportunity, no matter who they sell to learn and take actionable things that they can apply to their sales process.
Yeah, very, very diverse. And for those of you who have had either a long history of sales or are new to sales, I think there's going to be something for all of us to take away. As I think back to, my first sales, even before it was a job, I'll tell you the three things that really got me into sales. So as a young 12-year-old ice hockey player, playing travel ice hockey, we didn't have a lot of money growing up. My mother raised 4 kids by herself, so there wasn't a lot of money. So we did a fundraiser, and one year the fundraiser was to sell donuts. So imagine a little chubby little kid knocking on doors, introducing himself. Hi, my name's Josh. I'm playing for the Philadelphia Quakers, and we're doing a fundraiser to sell donuts. Would you like? And I'm going door to door, selling donuts in neighborhoods that I didn't even live in. And guess who the number one sales kid was for their hockey team? It was
My
me.
friend Josh.
Just because I wasn't afraid to go knock on a door and introduce myself. And then if you fast forward, when I got to college, and I was playing college hockey, we had a program, an annual program. And part of the deal was you got to sell ads in the program. And so I started knocking on all the doors of all the local businesses around the university. While all these other kids are going to their parents who own businesses, and they're going to fit relatives who own businesses. And so
Right.
I'm going around town. Guess who's the number one who sold more ads than anybody else in the program?
I'm sure it was you, Josh. I know it was you, actually.
So that next summer, when I needed to make some money, I saw an ad in the paper for a sales rep position for selling Cutco cutlery. So as a college student, I went through their training program. Of course, I argued quite a bit with the sales training team because I didn't believe that some of the stuff they were doing would work. They actually almost didn't. They almost didn't keep me. Okay.
Okay. Arguing with first sales trainer. I like it.
After the first month, when I was number one in that office, they actually told me, we almost didn't keep you, but you're doing something right, and then within a couple months, I think I was number one, no, definitely number one in my office and number 4 in the entire region as a college kid. Right. So
Hearing you talk that takes me to one of my favorite sales movies, right? Glengarry, Glen Ross, right? Weren't they selling steak knives was the second place gift. I think first place was a Cadillac.
Brand new
Second place, steak knives. Third place, you're fired. All right. If you have not watched Glengarry Glen Ross, it's one of the best sales movies out there. I'd encourage everybody to watch it. Before we get into our first topic, though, Josh, let's throw it to a word from our sponsor real quick.
Absolutely. Running an agency is demanding, and as you know, the process of interviewing, hiring, and training new team members is both time-consuming and costly. It can even hold back your agency's growth. We have found a game-changing solution in a company called Virtrify. Just like cracking the code to closing deals, finding the right talent is essential to your success. Virtrify partners with digital marketing agency owners to help them scale faster by providing bilingual appointment centers and salespeople from Latin America. As an agency owner, your time is best spent growing the business, not getting stuck in the process of hiring and training. Virtrify's staffing solution frees you up from those time-consuming tasks so you can focus on scaling. Ready to delegate and grow? Visit virtrify.com/closing code to find pre-trained salespeople who are experts in the closing code way. Let's build your high-performance sales team together.
Hello and welcome back to the inaugural episode of The Closing Code. I'm Clinton. I'm here joined with Josh, and we're going to talk a little bit about our first topic ever, okay? And this is one that is near and dear to my heart because as an agency owner, I am constantly on calls of people trying to sell my agency services, right? Whether it's software, whether it's AI, whether it's people, doesn't make a difference. I probably do 2 or 3 sales presentations for vendors every single month. And one of the things that shocks me is when I show up to that initial phone call or Zoom meeting with that vendor and they don't know anything about me. They don't know anything about my agency. They don't know anything about the audience that I serve. And that tells me right off the bat that they didn't do any homework whatsoever. And I know preparation for you is literally one of your driving principles in terms of, being a great sales professional. So give me a little background, Josh, on the way you perceive how people should do their homework and be prepared for every stage of the sales process.
Yeah, this is a great topic, and I see it over and over again. Getting back to seven-figure agency, I run the sales skills training session every week. And for those of you who are not members of seven-figure agency, highly recommend just an unsolicited testimonial for them and plug. But every Wednesday, I do an hour-long coaching session, and I see it over and over again with new members as they're just not fully prepared to meet with whoever their audience is. Now, for me, dealing with attorneys, I have to be super, super prepared. Not that they're more important, but they look at time differently than perhaps restoration companies or even a dentist or a plastic surgeon. And they look at time in 6-minute increments. Most people don't know but they see it as 10 billable increments every single hour. So their clock is going when I'm talking to them. So I better be prepared. As a matter of fact, I better be the most prepared person they have ever met. So we do our homework going into the meeting, and they know who we are because they've got to us either through some referral source that we have or through one of our outreach programs, and they've come in through a funnel. So they're aware of who we are. They've seen some videos. We also, as part of the process on our follow-up for a right fit call, a discovery call, a digital marketing strategy session, they're getting not just testimonial videos, but they're also getting an unpack video. I'm super excited what we're going to unpack. So they're learning about us, whether they are actively seeking to learn or not, but we're feeding them information. And one of the first questions I don't do right fit calls. We have a team that does that. There are what we call our setters, but we'll talk a little bit more in more depth later about right fit. But on the discovery call, I actually offer up, I want you to make sure we answer all your questions about law firm marketing pros. Did you get a chance to go to our website? Did you go to our YouTube channel? Did you watch any of the videos, any of the video testimonials? So I am actively making sure that they know who we are, and I know all about them. I've been to their social media. My team creates, for lack of a better term, a dossier of where I have one-click access to all of their social media, their website, their YouTube, so I can go in and within 10 to 15 minutes, see everything I need to know about them. Now, that being said, as they progress along what I call a glide path, because that's what we do, it's a four-step close that we've moved to. Along that glide path, at some point, I'm having a sales assistant create a document which we call the JK62. It's taken off of Harvey Mackay, who wrote a best-selling book back in the 80s. I'm dating myself, called Swim with the Sharks Without Getting Eaten Alive. And he has the Mackay 66. And you can look this up. You can still get the Mackay 66. We've modified it down to 62 questions. Never going to be able to answer all 62 of the questions without speaking to the person.
Okay.
But this really gives us an in-depth look at who they are. Look, at the end of the day, whether it's me, a sales rep, or even one of our client success manager, I want our audience to understand how important it is that whenever the potential client or client talks to you, how they feel after they got off the phone with you.
Yeah. I'm a big proponent of making sure that whenever, it doesn't matter what stage of the deal it is, right? I'm always looking to accomplish 2 things. One is I want my audience to understand that I know them, I know their business, I know their market. And then the second thing I want them to understand is that I know digital marketing, I know servicing the restoration industry, and I know how to help them get their goals or to hit their goals, right? And I find that in the conversations that I've had with other people that sell digital marketing, they wait too long to do their research on the prospect, right? They wait until they're actually getting ready to do a strategy session before they go ahead and pull the heat maps and look at the ranking and look at the competitor data. I'm I believe you should do that early in the sales process, right? Before even that initial discovery call. There are just certain data points that you should have on every prospect, their market, and their competition before you even have that initial phone conversation. That's really what's going to separate you from all these generalists or all these lead generation companies out there. The fact that you've done that homework and you show up prepared and ready to talk specifically about their business.
That's right. So once you've got to know more about marketing in their market than they do.
100%.
So we spend 8 to 10 hours just to prepare for one digital marketing strategy session between me and my team.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. But it's high ticket, right? So because it's higher ticket, it's worth the time.
Can you walk our audience through? Okay, so let's say something comes through one of your marketing channels or one of your referral sources. Who's the first person in your organization that takes that lead information and starts pulling information about that prospect?
Sure. So if we've actually set it into two silos. So let's just talk about a referral. So Clinton, you just happen to bump into an attorney. He asks you what you do. You tell him, well, can you help me in my marketing? And you're going to say, no, I can't help you. I specialize in restoration, water restoration, but I know a guy. Right.
I do know a guy.
Well, you're gonna make a virtual introduction, right? An email introduction. I've actually got a templated response that it's really a copy and paste. All I do is need to change the names. That's coming directly to me. I actually manage that.
Okay.
Now, if I'm having a super busy day or something, I might delegate that to my personal assistant. My executive assistant has access to my email, so I'll refer that over to her. And that provides a link directly on my calendar for a discovery call.
Yeah.
So, and then at that point is when I start doing some research. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll delegate to my sales assistant to fill out our pre-qualification form, page 1 of our pre-qualification form.
Okay.
And that page 1 is all the base information about the law firm, how many attorneys they have, if we can identify, which you can on the website, who the partners are, if they have multiple locations, a link to their GBP, a link to their LinkedIn, a link to their YouTube channel, and a link to their Facebook page. And then we'll also add the types of law that they practice. So not everybody in a given type of law. So for example, not everybody in estate planning does guardianship.
Okay.
And it would be, so we want to vet that out as much work research as the sales assistant can do. She puts it on this form. Concurrent to that, we put it into our CRM, and she's responsible for that as well.
Gotcha.
Full completion of that. So that's that component. If the other silo would be if they came in through a funnel, the first thing the team does, and that's going to go both to the sales assistant, to the sales rep, they start vetting it out immediately to make sure it's the type of law that we can help. So if they do maritime law, we can't help them, right? We stay in our lane of the types of law. And for those of you who have referrals for me, AVC, right? That's personal injury, estate planning, criminal defense, immigration, and family. The almost the same process, but they're going to vet it out pretty quickly and try to get the sales rep the sales setter can do this now too. Schedule that right fit call. And we might know in 60 seconds whether they're right fit or not. But typically it takes about 5 minutes to get to that point in the call.
All right. So we're going to talk about that right fit call, that discovery call, that strategy session in later episodes. But I want us to kind of go back and talk a little bit about the work that you have your team doing on a prospect. Let's go through the silo that is one of your marketing channels, one of your funnels that delivers that prospect there. So they get that lead. They've got this Google sheet. The first page of that Google sheet has just a bare minimum information that you guys need to capture on that prospect. This is before anybody has a phone conversation with them whatsoever. Right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. How much time would you guess that your team spends filling in that first sheet prior to any phone calls, any conversations?
30 minutes.
All right. See, that I don't think a lot of agency owners look at that as, hey, let me qualify them first before I invest time in actually doing some research on them. To me, I think the two things go hand in hand.
They 1,000%. And the beautiful thing is it's a non-US based person. So we're not paying US wages. And so We can vet that out pretty inexpensive. Is it worth probably with her time $5 for
100%.
30 minutes?
Now, if you're going to, let's go past the right fit call. So let's say someone's done the right fit call for you, then some additional research is going to take place between that right fit call and the time that you do that discovery call. That's done by your sales assistant, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And the sales rep will actually do the discovery call. I'm not doing the discovery call either.
Got it. How much time are you, let's say it's time for a strategy session. So you guys have decided that this is a good prospect, somebody in your wheelhouse, your target avatar there. They pulled all the necessary information into these sheets. Before you hop on a strategy session, what are you doing with all of that data prior to meeting with that prospect?
So the sales assistant creates a digital marketing brief.
Okay.
We use that terminology because it's obviously a legal term. It's going to be somewhere between 25 and 35 pages. And also they prepare based on the information we gather from a discovery call. They're going to prepare a forecasted revenue and digital marketing budget calculator, which is a Google sheet. And we'll I will review both the numbers to make sure they correspond with the information we gathered from the discovery call and make sure the numbers make sense. And from that, what we do is we add the based upon that, we now have a budget. And so the client's got to fit within one of those 3 plans that we offer. So within that budget. So we then slide the budget in for the appropriate plan. And then I'm going to also review the digital marketing brief in my preparation for the digital marketing strategy session. If I've got some extra time, I'll jump on their YouTube channel, scan their website just to check them out. I might hop onto their social media to see, oh, geez, I noticed you haven't had a post here in 4 months on your social media. What's going on?
All right, so we're talking about once a lead comes through a marketing channel, we're talking about a minimum of half an hour that's invested just pulling information off of their various digital assets, right? Then after that right fit or that discovery call, then we're probably talking about at least another hour plus, maybe 2 hours that go into preparing that digital brief. And this is before you even.
It's 3 hours, easy 3 hours before it even gets to me.
Okay. So all of that is done. And then prior to you jumping on that strategy session with that prospect, you're spending a couple hours reviewing that.
30 minutes. I've got it dialed in. So it's about 30 minutes for me. And then it takes me about 30 minutes to prepare for the meeting. So if you and I had a meeting at 3:00, at 2:30, my calendar's blocked off and I am going through everything one last time. I'm making sure I have all the appropriate assets opened up that we might need for the call. Sometimes we don't look at all of them, but I've got, again, there's that preparation thing, right? I've got everything I could potentially need to answer any of your questions so you don't have to wait for me to find it. As an attorney, they don't want to hang out and waste 3 minutes, a half of one of their billing increments while I'm looking for something, right?
So when you're setting up your calendar, right, to whether it's a referral source, so you're doing the initial discovery call yourself or one of these strategy sessions, you're putting significant buffers on those time to make sure that you have adequate time to prepare for those sales calls.
Correct. And I actually even have an overflow block of 30 minutes after every single digital marketing strategy session. And that overflow block is sometimes they're quite verbose and they like to talk if they're litigators, right?
Well, that works to your advantage because if they're sticking around for another half hour, they've obviously seen value in the conversation, and that's the attorney that's the most likely to close.
That's
right.
right. That's right. And then if we happen to end in about 2 hours, then I'll just use that time to organize my notes and then after that, there's a follow-up process because I don't even try to close them on that discovery, on that digital marketing strategy session. Many people do that. So what's going to happen is I'm going to schedule a final review. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send you all the information we reviewed today.
Mhm.
I want you to take a look at this budget because see, the way I do it is a little different. It's not like you're getting plan A, B, or C, silver, gold, platinum. So you're going to qualify for a platinum plan and we call it the market leader plan. But I've intentionally padded the plan with extra services and intentionally gone over their budget. So now together, the attorney and myself are going to start removing line items off of the spreadsheet. So what they're doing is they're making a subconscious buy-in on decisions that they're making rather than a sales rep forcing decisions down their throat. They're making decisions on your own, just like buying a car when you buy the upgrades on the car, right?
That's literally the first analogy that popped in my mind, right? You want to buy a brand new Mercedes G-Wagon. If you're getting that thing custom spec, right, they're going to add every possible feature so that when you sit across the desk from that Mercedes-Benz sales rep, it's not a matter of if you're buying this car. It's just, hey, which features are we keeping on? Which features are we removing? There.
That's right. That's correct. So now they have buy-in. So I have closed a couple on those calls, but what I'll do is I'll send them a draft of the agreement. I explain to them how simple the agreement is, and they'll get the forecasted revenue and digital marketing budget calculator. And we have a service menu sheet that they get, and I'll drop in another. I have an on the fence video that I'll drop in that email. So if you're still on the fence, watch this. So now they're on my calendar for what is in essence a closing call.
Okay.
And in that, we'll make whatever final adjustments to the budget. We'll go through. I'll actually have the agreement, the contract up on my screen. We'll make whatever edits they want to make to it. I'll DocuSign it right to them while we're on the call.
Okay.
And then we're off to the races.
Love that. My niche is a little different, obviously, than attorneys. And when you say high ticket, that's a much bigger number than my high ticket clients. But I also follow the same principle that you need to be prepared for these phone calls in every step of the sales cycle there. Right. So prior to, if we get a lead that comes in from one of our marketing channels there's some work that we put in, specifically that I put in before anybody ever reaches out to that prospect. Right. So we want to do our due diligence. And thanks to the internet, we can get a lot of information about that prospect prior to even picking up the phone and having a conversation with them. So again, I want to look at their business, the services that they offer. I want to take a look at their social media assets and see what they're posting on a regular basis, and also who's posting that. I can look at one of their posts on social media or on their Google business profile and know whether they're posting that themselves or they're using an agency for that, right? I want to go to their Google business profile. I want to take a look at some of the recent reviews that they've gotten. What services were those reviews for? How frequently are they getting reviews? And then I want to go and look at their market, right? See who are the big players, who constantly shows up in the local service ads at the top of the page, who's spending money on PPC in that market, who's ranking in the top 3 in the map pack there, right? These are their competitors. And I do a really good job of actually showing them their competitors a lot when I go through the sales process, because I think it amplifies that pain point, right? When I'm doing a search looking for a water restoration company in Berkeley, California, if they're not on that first page in local service ads, pay-per-click, the organic listings, or the map, I'll leave that up because that's going to sting with them for a while, and they're going to understand why they're not doing better than this national franchise down the street.
That's right. Yep. They're you're on all the right points, and you want to. The word you used is amplify is so good. I like, you stick the knife in and now you start to twist it, right? You're
100%.
So
it really doesn't matter what niche you cover, whether it's a home service business, whether it's a professional service, whether it's met a gentleman that has dance studios, pressure washing company. It doesn't make a difference. We have access to the internet, and you can do all the research necessary to really set yourself up and set yourself apart from the other agencies, the other lead generation services that they might be talking to. And I think that makes all the world of difference when it comes to actually closing business.
yeah. So if you do a role reversal as a sales rep and put yourself in the seat of your potential client, would you want to do business with someone who's not prepared?
100% no.
Would you want to do business with something that doesn't know a lot about your business or your market?
Absolutely not.
And I tell them this. I need to know. I actually say this. Sometimes I get phone calls. Oh, I was referred to you by such and such attorney, right? So I'll actually say to them, I'll say, look, I need to know because they'll ask, how much does it cost? Well, I can't tell you how much it costs yet because the budget's going to be based upon a certain percent of your revenue, and also going to be based upon what's going on in your market. I need to know more about your market than you do. I need to know who you think your competitors are, but they might not be your digital competitors. They might not be your competitors online. So you need to know more about their digital footprint and their market's digital footprint than they do.
For anybody listening that's maybe new to selling and they've niched down, right? Um, what are the top 5 things? Doesn't matter the niche, right? What are the top 5 things that you should know about a prospect before you even get on the phone with them?
Well, the reputation. I don't personally. I'm not going to do business with an attorney who's got a 3.5 average star rating. There's a problem there. Something's wrong,
Make
right?
perfect sense.
Yeah. So, reputation number one. Are they in the in Google Business Profile map? Are they in the pack? Right.
Okay.
So I want to take a look at their website. Was it built in 1920?
And you can tell nowadays by looking at a website whether it was built recently or a long time.
I just looked at one earlier today. It's still on my other screen. Right. I want to. Again, I'm not necessarily going to be able to find this. But are they running PPC? Right. That's an important. But I won't necessarily be able to find that. Right. Because of geographic constraints, depending on how the PPC is set up. But you said it is social media. You want to take a look at their social media, right,
Sure.
and see. Um, and yeah, I can't think of anything else off the top of my head.
So just kind of in summary for our audience, a couple things that it doesn't matter what niche you sell in. These are the handful of things that you need to do prior to picking up the phone, right? So you need to find out what their online reputation looks like. For me in a home service space, that's not just Google Business Profile, but I can also look at websites like Yelp to get some feedback in terms of the quality of the service that they provide. Second thing is their current ranking. Right? Whether that means organic, their GBP, you just want to know if they're actually ranking well compared to some of the other businesses in their area. For me, I always like to pull a list of maybe 2 or 3 of their competitors that I know are doing well so that I have some kind of point of comparison, right?
Yeah, we do that later. I don't do that right away.
Okay. And then I guess last but not least, taking a look at their social media, see if they're active on social media.
Yeah, and one more I'll say is not just their website if it was built like I jokingly said in 1920, but I want to look at the metadata. I want to see if their title tags are right. I want to see if their meta description's right because I can tell you right now 90% of them I look at are wrong.
Okay.
And that within seconds I can tell if either A, they've done it themselves, right? Or if they're using an agency that doesn't know what they're doing, which is the vast majority of them. So
all right. So, if you're listening to this, we hope you got a little value out of this. I guess the main theme that we really want to hammer home with you is it doesn't matter what deal stage that they're in. If a prospect has entered your sales cycle, you need to invest the appropriate time and resources in doing your damn homework. Okay.
that's right.
Do your homework on the prospect, even if they ultimately don't end up being a client of yours, then you can leave a really positive impression on that prospect by showing up to whatever stage in the sales process they are overly prepared, right?
Yeah.
Overly prepared.
And I will tell you that it's going to be painful at first because you're not used to doing it. But this is what's stopping you from being a closer. This is what's stopping you from achieving your goals and dreams as an agency because you will, even though it's going to be painful at first, over time, you're going to gradually begin to close more and more deals as a result, the more proficient you get. Just like anything else, everything's hard at first, right?
Yeah, 100%. And don't be afraid to invest some time in setting up a process, because once you set up that process and you move yourself out of that specific function, you can replace yourself fairly easily with an SOP or something that next person on your team can follow and just make it a little bit more efficient for everybody.
That's right. That's right.
All right. Before we go, let's have a little fun, Josh. So we're talking about preparation. So why don't you give me an example of a time that you actually showed up for a sales call where you weren't as prepared as you should be? Has that ever happened to you, Josh?
Yes, it has, Clinton. It's funny you should ask. So,
Okay.
I'll go back to my first real sales job when I was selling Cutco cutlery, and I was in someone's house, and they wanted me. There was this knife that was really good at that we could easily cut a chicken bone. At the joint, you cut a chicken at the joint and whatnot. And I was struggling because I had not practiced it. And I took the knife and I chopped down on this chicken bone, and the chicken leg went flying across the room, hit their wall, put poultry markings down their wall. And it was quite embarrassing, but they bought the knife.
Hey, there we go. All right. So even when Josh shows up at his very worst, he still manages to close some business. But I'll take a more recent example. When I first started selling digital marketing to restoration services, I did not invest a lot of time in terms of doing my homework prior to an initial phone call. I was trying to stack my calendar with as many sales opportunities as possible. Hell, we didn't even do discovery calls. We just got them scheduled on the calendar to do a Zoom meeting there. And if I had 5 minutes before the call, I'd pull up their website, pull up their GBP, and that was it, right? One trick pony, was just selling PPC, so I didn't see a whole lot of value in investing in that. And I literally had a prospect call me out on it. It's like, hey, you don't even know what my service area is, do you? Well, I know you're in such and such Texas, but you don't know what other counties that I'm actually looking to get business in. You don't know who my competitors are. You don't know what the average cost per click is. You don't know what the average cost to generate a call is. I've been doing digital marketing in this industry for 10 years. I mean, I know more about this than you do. How are you going to help me? It was a humbling experience, right? And I made it a point to make sure I'm always prepared with those answers prior to any of my sales conversations, because I don't want to get embarrassed, and I certainly always want to set myself up in a position to win, right? To win that restoration company's business.
So through that failure to be prepared, the lesson is that you need to be prepared. And I bet you said to yourself, I'm never going to let this happen again, ever.
100%. I added the buffers that you mentioned to my calendar, so that even though I try to have a pretty packed calendar there, I always make sure I've got the adequate time I need before I actually go into a sales call, so that I can, if it's not me doing the research, I have time to double check the research that was done.
So if I happen to have a strategy session tomorrow morning, and I know that today for me has been jam-packed, tonight I'm doing my homework.
100%.
If that's whatever it takes, right? So be prepared. So Clinton, I think it's been a great inaugural episode. I think this is really going to be a lot of fun for everyone.
Man, this is what I live for. I get to sit on here for half an hour, 45 minutes, talk to one of my good friends about one of the things that I am most passionate about, and that is selling digital marketing services. So we hope the audience enjoyed today's conversation. Man, the best is yet to come. We've got some great guests. We're going to be breaking down the sales process, every stage of the sales process, best practices. You're going to get so much value out of this. So if you're listening to this, we appreciate you guys sticking around. Make sure you subscribe. Find us on YouTube. Find us on Instagram. Whatever place you download your podcast, we will be there. Subscribe to the Closing Code podcast. Any last words for the audience today, Josh?
Subscribe, share it with your other friends who you want to help close, because it's all about having positive impact, right?
Absolutely.
And a big shout out again to Josh and Yesenia Nelson for introducing us over at Seven Figure Agency, and to our sponsor Virtrify. And I'm sure we're going to hear another little sponsorship from them.
Absolutely. Josh, it has been an absolute pleasure. I'm looking forward to doing more of these with you.
Looking forward to it as well. Everybody have a great day. ABC, always be closing. Running an agency is demanding, and as you know, the process of interviewing, hiring, and training new team members is both time-consuming and costly. It can even hold back your agency's growth. We have found a game-changing solution in a company called Virtrify. Just like cracking the code to closing deals, finding the right talent is essential to your success. Virtrify partners with digital marketing agency owners to help them scale faster by providing bilingual appointment centers and salespeople from Latin America. As an agency owner, your time is best spent growing the business, not getting stuck in the process of hiring and training. Virtrify's staffing solution frees you up from those time-consuming tasks so you can focus on scaling. Ready to delegate and grow? Visit virtrify.com/closing code to find pre-trained salespeople who are experts in the closing code way. Let's build your high-performance sales team together.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to the podcast for more straight shooting advice on closing deals that matter. Unlock the code, close the deal, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Closing Code Podcast.